Okay guys, so back on the baby bullet, we're getting to some of the more challenging parts here. This is the fixed jaw. It's the jaw that goes on the, that gets welded to this assembly here. So this is the, I call it fixed because it's non-moving. And it's going to come out of this block O steel here. So this is a lot of different setups and stuff, and so this will be actually pretty interesting because we have to roll this thing around quite a bit to do the work. Now, my buddy James Kilroy was kind enough to 3D print some of the, you know, he downloaded the SolidWorks models off the internet, off of the blog site, and there's a little link here for you. Okay. And he 3D printed them. He's got a little 3D printer, and actually these are helpful for visualizing how we're going to attack this problem here. So now, don't fret. There's a little bit hanging over here. He added some on so that it would print better. So this is actually the correct width, and this is the correct width this way. Okay. So you can start to get an idea of how we're going to work on that. Okay. Now these are different stages of the development here. So this is that's stage 1. This is stage 2, and then this guy here is stage 3. Okay. So you can kind of see we're going to be working in this axis here. We're going to bore a hole, we're going to mill this step, and then on the next one here, we're going to cut a radius in here, cut a radius in here, cut a radius in here, and then on the last one, we'll cut a couple of radii that way. Okay, so this ought to be good. Now you can see, let's get these out of the way because here's our block of steel. Now you can see that from the finished jaw here, I got a bunch of extra material here. Well, as this thing develops, there's not a lot to hold on to here, flat parallel surfaces. So the idea is, you know, this is grab stock down here. We'll be holding this in the vise and working this upper section. And then kind of the last thing that we're going to do is kind of cut it free along here and then do this stuff here. Or maybe we'll do that stuff and then cut it free. I don't know yet. So I haven't made one of these before, so it's going to be a work along, so that'll be kind of fun. Okay, so I don't know. I prepared the blank. I milled the ends just to save some time in the video because this one's going to be a lot of work here. So this might be 2 videos to finish this. So let's get cracking. Alright, so the 2 jaws actually have some common features to one another, so I'm just taking the opportunity to, you know, the operations that are kind of doubled up, I'm just taking care of those at the same time. That way, you know, you save time, right? Alright, so I'm zeroing that on that surface there, and I've already got good zeros. So I'm just going to put a witness cut pretty close to my my finished surface. I'll just come down a few thousandths there. And this is just a visual cue to remind me, well, keep me from screwing up. and then I'm going to come off of that and chip away at some of that material. So this is a 1/2 inch diameter cutter, 12.7 millimeters, 3 flute with a corner radius, solid carbide. I'm at 1200 RPM right now. Close here. Alright, so this is going to be the finished pass here. Dialed in, okay. And just a little wisp of oily oil on there for the finish cut. Okay. All right, and then we're going to poke some, we're going to drill and tap a few holes in that. Okay, all right, this will be our tap drill hole. I got to watch the depth on this a little bit, so I'm going to come back here and I'm going to zero the little quill readout and come back to my hole location. Oops. I don't want to over drill these, that's could be a problem. I'm just going in about 10 millimeters. The middle hole's a different size, so you know what? I think I'll go ahead and drill that one too. While I'm here, I have to open this one up later, so. And I'll tap those a little deeper by hand too. All right, let's get this show on the road here. We got an 1.5 inch cutter here, and we're gonna whittle our way down a little into this block to create the first radius. Let's try that, and I'm using the hand wheel feed here. Let's see how this behaves itself. Make sure the vise is tight. Oh yeah. Oops. All right. Popped out of gear there. Try that again. Then I'll come back in with a boring head and cut it out to the right radius. That's a little better. This is a 6-flute roughing end mill, and it's relieved, so it's just the lower part. It's mainly for surfacing and limited height side milling. Oop. This thing keeps popping out of gear here. Pissing me off. Well, I'm gonna change my tune there a little bit. Try hand feeding that and see how it behaves. Oh yeah, no problem. So now I'm hand feeding with the quill. those chips out of there. That worked pretty good. Hey, just hand feeding that was fine. Get that out of the way. So I'm going to do that to the other block since it has the same dimensions and, or actually a similar radius, and it just needs that metal removed out of there. So that's the first stage. I'll do the other block and then we'll come back and we'll go in there with the boring head and get that radius correct. All right, so there we go. There's the roughed out radiuses there. And now we're gonna set up for using the boring head to correct that radius for the the correct radius for each block. They're slightly different, so we got to be careful now we don't mix them up and do a bozo. So we'll start with the small one, finish with the big one. This is a Niagara 6-flute roughing end mill. Some folks call them corn cob end mills. I call them roughing end mills. This motored right through there, and actually because we're feeding down, left actually a pretty nice finish on that, not too bad. So let me get the boring head in there and I'll show you how to set that radius, and we'll cut that radius. All right, so we got the boring head set up. I'm going to put it in neutral here, and you can see that it's swinging a little bit off of the actual center line there. Right now the actual axis of rotation is right on 0, x0 in this case. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use this side to actually set the radius because it's flat and clear. So I'm going to offset the distance of the radius, which in this case is 770. Right there, okay. And then let's come up and go down. So you can see that I'm not swinging that radius now. Well, I'm just going to advance this a bit slowly, and when I get close, okay, I'm getting close, pretty close. Okay, we're very close. So now what I'll do, I'm just going to put a little Sharpie Dicom on there, and I'm going to bring you in nice and close so we can look at that, and we're going to make those final adjustments and just put a light scratch in that, and I'm going to do it on the backstroke like that, okay? All right, so there we are there, and you can see it. All right, so I'm just going to back it out of, oops, go out a little at a time. Okay, a little more. So I'm, maybe going 2 thousandths at a time here at this point. So, okay, I just heard something. You hear it? Right there. And let's see if I can get the shadow out of there. It left a little mark right there. Okay, so we just tipped it. All right, there it is. Okay, so we're pretty confident that that is the correct radius at this point. All right, so let's pop over to the other side and we'll cut that and go for the gold. All right, so we're on the other side now, and there's what we have to take out right there, that bit there. So I don't want to take that all in one crack. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to back off. So right now the spindle is over the center of this arc, which is out here somewhere. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to back it away from that until this just wants to cut. All right, we're just catching something there. So right there, I'm starting to cut, and then what I'll do is I'll just advance in this direction until I come up to my number. I'm already cutting the correct radius, so then the center of that radius, as I work this way, will end up in the right place. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And so I think we're ready, Freddy. Actually, I'm going to power feed this, and la-di-da. So actually, that's a pretty good shot. Let me check my speed here. That actually kind of works. Let's check our feed rate. And there it goes. Yeah, it actually looks pretty good. Okay, so let me rotate this around, get a little closer, like that. I'm going to come in a little and get some oily oil. Okay, and let's take a little pass there, see what happens. Should start bumping real soon. Bump, 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 bump. There it goes. Voila, one radius. Okay, we'll do the other one and we'll come back for the next setup. All right, so for all those curious Georges out there, there's a radius we just did, and there's where it lives. I'd call that a PFC fit. Anyway, that's how that jaw will mount on there, and that's going to be our weld prep, although it'll be up near the front, so there'll be a little gap where it meets that that taper. Actually, I got it backwards. It'd be this taper here. So the jaw sits somewhere in that region, so there'll be a little gap there, but you can see the radius matches quite nicely. So, all right, there's the second radius. 830 in this one, 770 in that one. That's the moving jaw, and that's the fixed jaw. So the moving jaw actually mates with this guy here, and it'll be something on that order right there. Actually, yeah, sorry, backwards. Something like that. So depending, you know, I don't know exactly where it sits this way. I have to look at the drawing. There'll be a small gap there, which is actually kind of, in this case, beneficial to welding. That weld will lay in there real nicely. It's not a, but you can see the radius is actually quite nice there at the largest diameter here. But so it'll be positioned something like that is my guess. Maybe like that. It could be as much as that. I don't know. I can't remember the number. But okay, so that's that takes us. Here. So, whoops, well, you know what? We did a little different here. So the next radius that we're going to cut is this guy right here, which will cut in this attitude. All right, so you can see we established that step, and now we're going to come in here and carve that out through both of these little monkeys there. So that'll be the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.